Hi guys and girls, and thanks for joining us again today on another Team LRF podcast. And we've got Corey back again today. Corey, how you doing?
Very good, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you for offering me back. Thank you for all the overwhelming support for the podcast, of course, as always. Requests coming out of Rob's ears at the moment, so keep them coming.
Must be, yeah. But no, good weekend at the shows. First weekend of the show done. How's your week been anyway in general? How's your week been?
Busy, very, very busy. Just work, mate, to be fair. We have taken this week, obviously Mads is on prep, as you know, she probably moaned to you about it all weekend. So we thought it was a good idea to get her out in public a little bit. I think it's massively important when you're in prep to come away. Although the routine's massively important, you spend a lot of time in a position where you're like thinking about potentially food, thinking about how tired you are. So making an occasion out of going to the gym, I think is quite important. If you can waste another hour or two traveling, spending time there doing some posing. So this week so far, we've just been getting Mads out and about, keeping her busy. And it's working.
No, for sure. I think I think I might have said to Shah actually in the week is that when you're on prep, it's actually you travel to more gyms. When you're in the off season, you're a bit like, I can't be fucked.
Yeah.
I've got to eat, and then I really can't be bothered. But when you're on prep, like you waste 45 minutes driving to the gym, you waste 45 minutes driving home. You'll probably spend a bit more time at that gym as well if it's a new gym or you're training somewhere different, speaking to a few new people. And you're almost like, especially on a weekend, for example, if you haven't got much to do, it almost passes that whole day.
Yeah, 100%, which I think which I think is massively important. It has been positive. Like I did it in my prep last year. It's keeping Mads quite sharp this year so far. We've had a really successful prep so far, actually, which I'm glad about. Obviously, I spoke to you when we had to put her prep last year, so that's it's positive, mate. Yeah, it's just been out and about, really. Busy after the show. How so? Talk to us about the results. How did we go?
Fucking hell! This week we had 4 winners and 3 seconds. What about you?
I had 1 winner and 1 didn't place within the top 4, unfortunately. But yeah, classic champ, classic first timers champ, and then really strong bikini girl. But what is exciting is she wasn't phased, and she's excited to do the work now. She's like back on plan straight away. No fucking mess. I think that's for me. Like if you don't get the result you want, it's not always the fact that prep didn't go smoothly. It's just where you are as an athlete and how are you going to respond to that? What are you going to do? Show me that you want to get that first place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know, even the guys and girls who are finishing second and third, you know what I mean? Like it's bitterly disappointing because I was saying it again. I think to one of the girls who was on the mentoring course. I was like, I was actually speaking to like Kate from Accomplished. I said that when you're in prep, you feel like you're working so hard. You feel like you're doing more than everybody else. You feel like you're eating less than everybody else. But in essence, you're doing the same as everybody else, to be honest, if not less. You know, so when you're in the mindset of prep, it's like, you know, when you get to the day of the show and potentially you don't place, it's like I put all that work in, I did all of that, but so did everybody else. If not more, you know. So, you know, it's not a case of like maybe the prep didn't go as well or this happened, that happened. And then obviously in the heat of the moment, there's obviously emotions. That's why it's important to step back a little bit as well. But yeah, you know, how somebody takes a bad result is always super important to how well they progress, you know. But someone like Ria, for example, when I first prepped Ria, she'd done a show and she'd not placed. And that's somebody who within 3 years went to the Olympia. You know what I mean? And not only went to the Olympia, placed at the Olympia as well. You know, got a second call out of the Olympia, you know. And even someone like Alicia, who obviously turned pro as well, before she came to LRF, she'd never made the top 5. But she's still adamant that she loves bodybuilding and she still wanted to compete and go again and do it again. So yeah, like these girls and guys who are potentially not placing at their first show, like that happens. You know what I mean? It happens. As I said, like, you know, Ria would be a prime example. Somebody who never even made the top 5 at her first show. Her second show she came with us and she came 3rd. So this is somebody who is again in 3 years' time has placed top 13 at the Olympia. In her first 2 shows, she never made top 2. Put it that way.
Correct. So it goes to show, and there is an element of actually understanding whether you are in on this sport or not. It's a very fashionable sport at the moment. as a whole, competing can be. People sometimes do it for the wrong reasons. Some people do it for the right reasons as well. Train for a long period of time. We spoke about this a couple of episodes ago. Go back and watch. About actually why people are competing, and fundamentally, if you are doing it for the wrong reasons, you get found out very, very quickly. And if you really like the sport, I think completing a prep as well is quite an accomplishment. I say that as an experienced competitor. Prepping's hard, whether you do it for the first time, whether you do it for the 50th time. Like it's a graft, and it requires a lot of effort. And if you can get through it as a professional, say that you haven't cheated on your diet, say that you've ticked every single box to the best of your ability. To be fair, getting to the show and putting on a good performance, nailing your posing, like actually bringing a package that's respectable enough to be not out of place on stage, you've done a good job.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I spoke to Ryan, as you know, I get along with the guys really well. You know, I spoke to Ryan. There was 170 competitors. I think there's 170, and I think what is there 20 classes. So that means there's 150 people who didn't win.
Yeah,
you know, there's 150 people who didn't win, and there's only 20 that won. You know, so you know it's definitely not in your odds or in your favors to go and win your first show. Like you know, and again, if you then go and do a second show, you then come out of the first timers bracket, and then potentially you're in a harder show.
Yeah.
So you know, those first 3 or 4 shows will really show sort of what you're made of, because you might go from a first timer show in now to an experience show. And for example, I know that the girls who won at the Two Bros at the weekend are going to do the PCA this weekend. Yeah. So these you might now be going into your second show competing against somebody who's competed 20 times.
Yes.
So that second show potentially might even be even harder than that first show. And don't get me wrong, those first timers, like, they get better and better and better as well. Like, they are fucking good, really good. Some of those.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I had this conversation on Sunday. They were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do PCA first timers at the end of the year in September. I was like, mate, I do fucking PCA London the week before. It'd probably be fucking better. Like, you'll have better odds, because like last year we saw it, and I think last year it was so stacked in PCA first timers because of the fact that there had been COVID the year before. Yeah. So there was like athletes that were ready to go, didn't get a chance to compete, so then had another 12 months to actually improve. But yeah, you see it, and it's exciting. I know it's exciting for you, but as coaches to see, I mean, we learn more. Do you know what I mean? Like, we get better season on season because we see more athletes. We do more education, and we just have more time spent. So as a result, the time and effort into an athlete, providing they're willing to do the work, just like levels just increase. But yeah, some incredible physiques.
And at the Two Bros, I was at the Two Bros on Saturday as well, and like all the over, like Reece McDonald won the overall bodybuilding. The guy won the NABA Worlds. I think he won the NABA World Juniors. You know, so you just got guys like who are just very, very good. I think the guy that came second to him was one of Joe's boys, who actually looked really good as well. I didn't see the bodybuilding, but I saw the pictures, which is never always, doesn't tell the true story. But you know, the guy looked good in pictures. If he looks good in pictures, he probably looked fucking epic in real life.
Yeah.
The classic boy was good as well. He'll be tough to beat at the Ben Weeder. I put the boy that won the overall men's physique, Tim, really good physique, absolutely mustard. Again, this weekend, then he's going and doing the Saxon, you know, because he's ready. You know what I mean? He's ready. He wants a bit more stage time, wants a bit more stage presence. You know, he's actually a junior. He's 22.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's 22. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfollow, block. Yeah, mate. I think some of these guys are incredible, and people should set their expectations high, whether you're a seasoned competitor or whether you're a first timer. But you really got to be realistic. And you know, we're just talking about the UK, mate. Like, start going out to Alicante, start going out to international shows. Fucking hell, it's an even bigger pool. But
yeah, no, for sure. Well, the Ben Weeder this not this weekend, coming the weekend after. That's going to be massive. Like, that's going to be massive. There's going to be over 200 plus athletes there. You know what I mean? Again, from flying all over. So, you know, we only see what we see here in the UK. But you know, you're going to have those standards across the board, across Europe, across America. You know, and a lot of the guys will come in as well from like the UAE and stuff like that, and Kuwait, because London's such an easily accessible place, and the show is obviously 20 minutes outside of London. You're going to get people flying in from all over the gap to do that show. which is going to be a massive show to Ben Wheeler for sure.
100%, 100%. It's exciting. So yeah, everyone, if you are competing or plan to compete, be realistic and also be sympathetic potentially on your first experience. Go there to fucking win though, obviously.
Yeah, you prep like a champion, you know what I mean? You do everything like a champion. It's just on the day, you know, you might get beat by someone who has slightly better genetics, who has potentially worked a little bit harder, who fits the criteria a little bit more, who does something, you know what I mean? Or for example, the guy who won the men's physique overall, like a muscle belly is like you see on a pro, you know, you potentially get somebody who potentially in a couple of years could have a pro physique, 100%. So there's no joking with these first timers, but you know, you prep like a champion and you do everything like a champion. And it just means that sometimes on the day you might be part of that 150 people who get a second, a third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth, you know, and you don't get the W, you know, but that will come with time for sure.
There's also massive lessons on even just like bringing that physique in. Unfortunately, I've had a number of conversations with new inquiries actually, but we were talking about peaking protocols and things like that. Just some fucking butchering, excuse my language, but appalling protocols. Like 300, 400, 500 megavaldactone going in.
Yeah.
And you're out for the count. So I think that's also a massive thing. Lessons you're going to learn. Do you know what I mean? What to get right. And much like with yourself, and I know you sort of still keep track and notes of every athlete that you peak, how you did that, what protocols you took, and then whether you change it to bring a better or improved physique the next show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Well, so I didn't actually use any diuretics at all at the weekend. I didn't even drop in a little bit of Aldactone, nothing at all. But one of the guys this weekend, he's doing, it's not Tim actually, it's another athlete who I'm prepping, another guy. He was like, want to try something different for this accent. I was like, cool, no problem. So rather than sort of drip feed carbs across the week, what we've done is I've almost depleted him on, so post show he did Saturday show. So Sunday he just went home, chilled, relaxed, ate intuitively, but sensibly. And then depleted him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then our carb loading Friday, Saturday, and then we will drop a little bit of Aldactone. Just to see what happens to him, just to see what happens to his physique. Again, when we're talking about these protocols, I mean, like, we're going to probably drop 50 meg of Aldactone. That's it. That, you know, we're not talking about hundreds. We're talking about 50 meg, which is, like, for example, I'll give you how little that is. Some of the tablets come in 100 megs. So that's half a tablet, you know, so you're not talking about 50, 60 tablets, you know what I mean? You're talking about dropping in a very, very small amount.
Talking about a whole pack here.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it'll be really interesting actually to see like someone who is open to doing things like that and seeing how different his look is, because like, you know, he beat the guy who I prepped for the overall last year, who won the overall last year. So he's good. He's already beaten an overall champion, and he went into the overall at the weekend and looked sharp and weren't a million miles away. So it's going to be interesting to see what difference it does bring to his physique to deplete, load heavy, and then drop a little bit of Aldactone rather than sort of skim it through the week, just pushing slowly through the week. So I'm interested to see that as well. He can't wait as well.
I think that's massively important. I don't. For me, to be fair, I was even speaking to Jace about the guys that he was peaking for the show. Like, again, massively successful day for him. Smashed it. Men's guys looked fucking brilliant. Like, none of them ran diuretics. Do you know what I mean? And it's like it just goes to show you can't peak fat. Like, you have to be fucking ready.
Oh yeah.
And these wacky protocols, they come out of desperation. They come out of the fact of, well, I thought, like you said, I worked really hard. But you know what? I probably could have done a little bit more. So I'll tell you what, I'll just put my body on the line now and just see what I can pull out of it. Like, and unfortunately, you are literally putting your body on the line.
You're just dipping into the hat and saying, well, what does this do? Let's try it.
McDonald's and 400 megavaldactone, that should do the trick. Oh mate, painful. So what? So with your guys, so going on to post show, then I think that's probably quite a good topic. So you've got guys that you're peaking back to back. Yeah.
So the two out of the three boys who did the PCA, who did the two bros that are doing the PCA this weekend. One of the other guy, Curtis, he's going straight for the pro qualifier at the Ben Wheeler. But the two guys who won actually are doing the PCA this weekend. So like meal out on Saturday night with their family. Tim brought his his dad. I saw his dad. I saw his girlfriend and stuff like that. So he went out to eat with them on Saturday. Had a little slip up in the week as well, actually. Which is always hard when you have that little bit of sugar, or when you have that little bit of something that you want. Like, it's always hard to get back on it, and that's why I try to recommend. And I'll say, go for a steak and chips, go for a Nando's, go for a burger, chuck the bun away, and don't go over the top. You know what I mean? Like all of these things, I do try and say, just be sensible. That's all I'm really trying to say. But I do try and give guidelines. But again, he had a little slip up in the week, but he's managed to pull it back. Yeah. And Tom as well, just went out for I think he went out for a steak and chips with his wife and his kids. But yeah, our post-show, back-to-back post-shows, there's only been one occasion where I've said to somebody, you can't have a meal off plan. And that was Shah last year, because she only had 5 days between the shows. So the way that some of the international shows run, if people don't know, is some of them run on a Sunday, but also some of them run on a Friday. Yeah. So, for example, she was somewhere on a Sunday and then had to compete again on a Friday.
You got travel time as well.
Got a travel time as well. You just haven't got time to pull anything back and then peak again. Yep. So if, for example, there is a show on a Saturday like the Two Bros is, and then there's a show a week after on a Sunday, you've got 8 days. Yeah. If, for example, there is a little accumulation of water, it's not going to be body fat. If there is an accumulation of water overnight, we can pull that back in the week. But when you've only got 5 days, you run the risk of going flat and then not filling back out. Yeah. So yeah, with the back-to-back peaks, that's how I do it. I'll tell them, listen, go and have a steak and chips, go and have a Nando's, go and have something which doesn't fill you up with water and make you really bloated. So at least then the next day you wake up and you're still quite tight. You're not bloated, you're not watery, you've not blurred all your lines. Yeah. And then you wake up the next day and you feel confident again. Because if you go out and you have a pizza and that midsection is like a balloon and you've lost all your lines, what happens? You start panicking. Shit, I'm not going to be ready. Shit, I'm not going to be ready. That just makes things worse. Yeah. And then you jump and you try and overcompensate on your cardio, you try and overcompensate on everything. And again, that just takes stress level higher and higher and higher and higher. So when you've got those back-to-back peaks, a Nando's, a steak and chips, I don't know, like a Turkish restaurant, absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely perfect. Yeah.
I think there's a massive thing, like for me, thinking about stress drivers, like that situation, you need to make the decision yourself. But if you're going to make the decision, like you've got to have that like invincibility mindset, because I think it makes a massive difference. As soon as you start getting emotional, stress levels go up, cortisol, aldosterone, like all of these things start fucking flying through the roof. Like that burger and chips probably wouldn't have hit you so bad. I know it's super anal to say this, but it's true. Like the reason why it's hit you is because you've eaten it and you didn't want to eat it because you knew that probably you weren't feeling too good about it. And then the next day you wake up and you do look like a bag of shit, and then stress mode kicks in, which ain't great for peak week at all. And especially if you're ready, you're dancing on a very fine line. Like I would always say, I think you can't. The problem is you've got to ask yourself, like, how much do you actually want it? Do you know what I mean? Like guys going from winning overalls or getting first at Two Bros on the weekend and going to win their pro card, like fuck the burger and chips. Yeah. Really? Like what all of that work, and you can't keep your head on for another what is it, 10 days? Yeah. I mean, best part realistically, like you're into peak week, let's say you're going to start drip feeding food on the Monday before the show on the Saturday or Sunday, like you've got fucking 7 days. Yeah. Like behave, eat your chicken and broccoli and crack on. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating, I think, and I'll speak for fucking every single coach when you talk about a responsible protocol, because no coach, right? I don't care who you are, even fucking Rob from TeamLRF, right? No coach wants to tell you to get straight back on diet. Like you've won your show, like you've done extremely well, you've worked extremely hard, you're a fantastic athlete. What do you do? Fantastic. You've got your photos, brilliant. Like no, everyone wants to say, well done, go and celebrate, go and enjoy that. But like coaches, you can't make somebody do that. You can't make them want to stay on plan for the idea that they're going to win their pro card in 2 weeks. That has to come intrinsically. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That has to come. That's the right word, isn't it? That has to come from inside and say, well, do you know what? Like I remember I came off winning PCA overall. I'm going to talk about that every single time we're on this podcast. So it's the only one I got. I remember coming off there, and Jamie went, right, take the rest of the day and tomorrow off. I was flying out to Alicante on the Wednesday, right? And I just won an overall. I was in a good position. I wasn't going to Alicante to win my pro card because I was competing as a junior. Can't do that. So it was just like, go and enjoy yourself. Like, you've done 2 shows back to back now. Go and enjoy yourself. And I was like, I don't want it. No, I'm not doing it. And I didn't, because I was too fixated. I was like, nah, mate, I'm fucking on it. Regardless whether I can win my pro card or not, I'm going to Alicante. And I look back now, and like, I'm glad I did that, because I was rolling into Alicante confident. I got slapped by the biggest geezer on the planet I've ever seen. He was like fucking 12, like chopping trees down when he was like fucking 8 years old. But regardless, like, you need to have that internal motivation to say, okay, the job isn't done yet. I think that's probably the message, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And again, that like I think Shah is great with that, because she knows her goal, she knows what she wants to do, she knows how she needs to achieve it. And when you're saying to her, okay, well, like for example, PCA jersey, I think she won the first overall she won of the year. So she the PCA jersey. She's backstage, she's eating her kidney beans and cucumber.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because she knew that weren't the goal. Like the goal weren't for her to be PCA jersey overall champion.
No.
The goal was for her to be PCA overall champion, which was 2 weeks later at the finals, and then be an IFBB pro. So that day was just a stepping stone for her to be an IFBB pro. You know, it's just so happened that she was in shape. The show fell into her schedule. She went and done it. She was good enough at 90% to win the overall.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting you say, you know, about stress markers as well, because I've got a young lady again competing this weekend who is exceptional, really, really good. One of the best bikini amateurs I've seen, called Nisra. Won her class at the weekend. Again, going to do the PCA this weekend. She got food poisoning yesterday. So she got food poisoning yesterday, ate some off chicken. Right. Woke up this morning, she said, I'm a watery mess. You know, and yeah, she was a bit watery, but she hadn't eaten anything. She ate nothing, was sick. Woke up this morning, I'm a watery mess. I said, by the time you train today and you pose, you'll be back to normal. She relaxed, she ate, she could eat normally, she trained, she ate, and I was like, it's probably the best video I've ever sent me. That's amazing. You know, and but she woke up, like, food poisoning all of yesterday, couldn't get out of the toilet, both, you know, being sick and just obviously what food poisoning does to you. Woke up this morning, was watery, was probably the worst I've seen her for about 2 or 3 weeks, which was still very good, but just not great for her. And I said, by the time you relax, eat your food and train at 3 o'clock today, send me some videos. And I said, it's the best videos you've sent. You know, because all them stress markers dropped down again. It weren't like we all of a sudden dropped a magic pill. It's just those stress markers dropping down a bit from her food poisoning. So it makes a world of difference. Massive world of difference. So I think that psychological threshold, that internal motivation, saying that this is what I'm doing, and it also comes with your ability to stay on plan. Like as a fucking whole, like emotions off. You don't have emotions around wanting to have a fucking jam donut if your goal is bigger than the jam donut. You don't. So you ask yourself the question, well, how bad do I really want it? And it's less of preachy bullshit from fucking Slee Raw. Like, it is the reality. And like, listen, like, we've all been there. We've all been in between shows, and you sort of question. I had it massively between Graftism and the Arnolds, because the reality was, like, I wasn't good enough to win. I wasn't good or big enough to win my supers class. I'd love to say that I was. I walked into the supers category, coming off the back of being a junior, and I fucking slapped everyone. Love to be in that position, but that isn't the reality. Do you know what I mean? Here's a bag of 20 kilos worth of muscle, go and empty it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was what I had to do. So you ask yourself, well, where's my motivation? What am I doing? What am I doing this for now? Well, originally it was to establish where I am, which is what a lot of first timers are doing at this very moment in time. Right, I like this sport. Am I actually any good at it? All right, well, you placed top 3, top 4 at PCA, first timer show, probably some of the biggest shows of the year, by the way. I'm actually quite good at this as well. So now my motivation to do it is very, very much elevated. But if you're in a position where you know you've got more work to do and you start checking out, it's going to be very, very hard to maintain that level of motivation, isn't it? Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, man, I've worked for enough people also now to know that winning that first show doesn't mean you're a great athlete.
No.
That doesn't mean you're a great athlete. So, like, again, we spoke about potentially people who have not won that first show, but also guys who have won that first show and girls who have won that first show. Like, that don't mean you're a great athlete. Like, again, and I say that with the greatest amount of respect. Sometimes, I'll be honest, winning is probably the worst thing that some people can do, because when they do win, it's a bit, oh, I've won, you know, I smashed it, I don't need to improve anything. And unfortunately, you will still have those coaches who are not particularly educated and say, well, you won, it means you go in again and you'll win again.
Yeah.
But when they go to the British finals and everybody's a little bit better and everybody's a little bit leaner and everybody's a bit more muscle, and you just look exactly the same because you've got a coach potentially who doesn't know how to elevate your physique to a British finals level, and then you don't win, and then you're like, oh, fuck, it's like a proper kick in the dick.
Yeah.
It's a proper kick in the dick, because, you know, you've had the girl who was second or the guy who was second saying, I need to get better, I need to get better, I need to get better, I came second. And then you've got the person in first who was like, man, I've got this, I won, I'm fucking smashing this is me. You know, and then they rock up in the British finals, and the person who was second is fucking hungry. They're ready to work. They're going for it. They've been busting their balls for the last 6 months because they know they came second, and the person who came first is sitting back a little bit. Yeah. And then the result is reversed.
Yeah.
You know, so for those guys and girls who potentially do listen to this and who did win their show and whoever won their first show or won their last show, like, you ain't there yet. You ain't there yet. You ain't touching pro status yet. You ain't winning pro shows yet. Like, you ain't there yet. You need to keep working as well, and you need to be hungry, and you need to just be working at it every single day as well.
Mate, it's mad to think that I've been competing for 6 years, and although it hasn't been season after season, like, I look back at that 6 years and I'm like, fucking hell, I've come a long way, but mate, it's a fucking long old game, this is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody's completing bodybuilding. No. Like, for any clown that thinks that they're completing bodybuilding, is like, mate, you're gonna have a really, really nasty shock eventually. Like, so something, the reality will hit you like a steam train. I look back at that 6 years and I think, wow, like, do you know what? I've actually accomplished quite a lot. But then I think, mate, I'm not even in touching distance of what I want to achieve yet. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got life to come into play as well.
Yeah.
We're fortunate enough to be in this industry every single day. Like, you've got people doing their full-time jobs that don't have any relevance to their lifelong goals and ambitions and dreams of being the best of the best of the IFBB pros. Do you know what I mean? And like, you think, there's a long way to go here.
Yeah. You know, yeah, like winning that first show is great, but as I said, I've worked for enough people who have won that first show or won their first timers or won their first ever show, and then taken their foot off the gas, and then wondered why they've then been beat by the person who came second, third, fourth, fifth. Yeah, you know, they've wondered why. You know, so yeah, so for a word of advice for anybody who does think that, then
keep working.
Trust me, yeah, you need to keep your foot on the gas. But in terms of post-show protocols for someone who's not doing back-to-back shows, that I've like everybody who competed this weekend, bar one, is doing another show. And the one guy is the guy who came second in men's physique at the weekend at the PCA first time, as the tall guy. Dan looked wicked, was really good actually. Was really happy with the way he looked. But he's doing the finals, and the finals is going to be in October. So that's about 6 months away. So we just set him up a game plan for those 6 months. So it'd be a reality of a couple of months just to add in some more tissue real slowly as well, because he's in a great place. He got absolutely peeled. So add on some real quality tissue real slowly. Nice. In reality, probably keep him to around about 7 or 8 kilos of his stage weight, and then pull him back in slowly for the last 4 months. So just scheduling that sort of period of time. That's what I would do post show with him.
I think there's a massive emphasis here on assisted and non-assisted potentially as well. How hard and how well you've set up your prep. Like, I'm lucky enough with Jack, for example, I ran a recovery / rebuild phase between two, prep phase and pre-prep phase, I suppose. Prep times 1, prep times 2, I suppose. So I'm in a position where he's actually very, very fresh. But I'll still run a recovery phase where, most importantly, we'll establish his true maintenance again. We'll get his gear out as much as humanly possible. I do personally, unless there's a real reason to come off. If you're going to be competing again, I will always run some sort of TRT or HRT, whatever you want to, a very, very low dose. And again, talking about what that is, unless you're 100, 120 kilos, you don't need to be running 2, 3, 4, and 3, 4, 500 tests a week. Like, it's fucking irrelevant. So I think that's the first and foremost, getting yourself in a position. This fake reality of post-show rebound. Well, I'm 20 kilos up from stage rate and I can just about see my abs. You haven't put 20 kilos of muscle on at all. Not even fucking close. And there is also an element, a big question, if I'm gonna swing for the fences, is how conditioned are you as well? How much of a break do you actually need? Like, stand behind the fact that if you're putting somebody on stage, or if you're getting on stage, you should be in condition. But there's a very, very big difference of condition and condition. How fucking wrecked are you? How in the gutters are you? And that will determine how long your recovery phase is. And before you even go into a progression phase, like, you ain't going into a progression phase post-show, and you shouldn't be, because your body isn't primed to actually grow. You're not fresh. Like, you can't continue to progress in the gym if you've accumulated too much fatigue and you're now overreaching. So why would you think that coming off the back of a peak week, where potentially you do run a ridiculous protocol with fucking diuretics and no carbs and 30 liters of water a day, why would you think that you're in a position 3 days after your show to go into the gym and start fucking bench pressing 4 plates aside and eating 6,000 calories? It's madness. So yeah, I think from a protocol standpoint, the first things first, even as an unassisted athlete, female, for example, first timers, a very, very small few will be touching anything, maybe a little bit of clean here and there, depending on how experienced they are as athletes as a whole. But we will be going through that recovery phase, establish your true maintenance, get your health back in check, first of all, make sure things like your cycles returned as a female, etc., etc. Get yourself in a position where you've managed to regain that freshness. Weight will come from that, kilo here, kilo there, and then you're in a position where, providing all markers are in place, you're minimizing fatigue, you're not stressed, your training's going well, then swing for the fences and start dropping the hammer for some more muscle, I think, is probably the best way.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is as somebody who, again, has prepped loads and loads of people in all different walks of and shapes, one thing that stays constant throughout is that you don't just go from nothing to 100 with anything. So for example, if you're doing an hour's cardio, you don't go from, oh well, I've finished my prep now, I'm not going to do any. Like, you can half that for sure, but you're still going to do some form of cardio, because your body's adapted to that sort of output. Your body has adapted to that sort of output. Your routine's in place for that sort of output. Stick to that winning routine. You're not going to go from training 4 days a week potentially to, oh, okay, I need to grow muscle, I'm going to train 6. You're not going to change things like that. You're not going to go from 15,000 steps to, okay, well, I only need to do 10 now. Or maybe 10 would be realistic, but you're not going to go 6. You're not going to drop 10,000 steps out. So, when you are looking at your reverse, and if you have prepped yourself, or potentially you may be leaving your coach or changing your coach or whatever, and you're in a transition period, make sure you keep some form of cardio in. Make sure you keep some, a decent amount of steps in. Make sure you keep, some meals potentially where you've got no carbs in. For example, if you were only doing 3 carb meals a day at the back end of prep, don't go from 3 to 7. Go from 3, and you're thinking, shit, I know I need to add in more food. Just add in 1. Just add in 1 more. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not with a coach, or again, you potentially change coaches, don't just say, right, well, actually, I was doing 3 during prep, so now I'm in the off season, but you're not. You're in a recovery phase. Now I'm in the off season, I should be doing 7 carb meals. 3, and you say, what's more than 3? 4. 4 is more than 3, so I'm going to do that. I was on 30 grams of carbs. What's more than 30? 40 is more than 30. So let's go up a little bit, rather than say, right, I was on 30 before, now I'm going to do 100. And coupled with that, I'm going to stop doing cardio. And coupled with that, I'm going to lower my steps to 10,000, because I'm now fed up of all of this. And all of a sudden, you've gained, and this is no joke, you've gained 10 kilos in 2 weeks.
100%.
No, that's 22 pounds. You've gained 22 pounds in 2 weeks. It took you 20 weeks to lose that, and you've gained it in 2.
I was literally just about to say, there's a saying I heard real back in the day, and still completely relevant. It should take you as long to get out of shape as it took to get into shape. So why the fuck, if you've lost 10, 15, 20 kilos potentially, maybe even more for some first timers, if you've lost that much and you've regained 50% of that weight within a week, like even a couple of days, mate, like I've heard some terror stories. As soon as you can't walk because your fucking ankles are too swollen, you are fucked up. Simple as that. Like don't push yourself. Do you know what? It's painful because any first time listening to this, what are we, 4 days on post show? Potentially sat there like,
mate, I tell you a story. My first show 2011, I booked an all-inclusive holiday the day after that show. Worst thing you could do. But you know, back then, like, although it's only 11 years ago,
yeah,
like, people don't realize there weren't coaches back then. And when I say there weren't coaches, I mean there was fucking no one. There was nobody like doing coaching back then, because a bodybuilding coach wasn't even a thing. There wasn't even a thing, a bodybuilding coach. I trained in a bodybuilding gym, and I was the only person to compete in that gym. And I trained in a bodybuilding gym. You know, when I look at LRF now, it's a bodybuilding gym. There's probably 30 people that compete from that gym.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I was the only person to compete in that gym. So I didn't. No one told me, Rob, don't fucking do that because that's stupid. It's like, no, I've worked so hard. Again, same mentality. I've worked so hard. I've deserved this holiday.
Yeah.
In that 1 week, mate, I gained 47 pounds. 47 pounds in 1 week post show, and it was so bad that getting on the plane, I had to take a diuretic to get on the plane because my feet were so they couldn't fit into my shoes.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous. And like, I mean, during the week, on when I got to the hotel on the Monday, people were like, mate, you're in great shape. On the Friday, they didn't recognize me. Thought I was a different person.
Well, believe it though, yeah.
Fucking swollen. My face was literally like a fucking hot air balloon.
Yeah.
And my blood pressure was through the roof. I'd bend down. I wouldn't get a nosebleed, but it wasn't far from it. You know, and it was just shocking. But then the year after, I was like, man, I'll never do that again. Never do that again. It took me 10 weeks post show to gain 5 kilos the year after.
Yeah.
10 weeks, 10 pounds was the year after.
I
felt $1 million. During that recovery phase and during that post show period, I felt $1 million. I felt absolutely great. I looked good. I looked full. At any point during that 10-week period, I reckon I could have done a show in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's how good I looked post show then, versus the year before. I gained 47 pounds in a week.
Yeah.
Like, and felt like fucking death. Like, I remember I went to TGI Fridays out in Egypt. We'd finished the meal. I genuinely had to sit there for 40 minutes before I could go home, because I felt like I was going to explode in the chair, just because I was a greedy fat bastard.
Yeah.
Post show, and I was like, I'm going to eat everything. I deserve this. I worked so hard, and the person that I was with at the time would encourage it as well, because they weren't in the sport. But you know, I was like, man, yeah, fuck this. I fucking grinded for the last X amount of weeks. And yeah, but then the year after, I was like, man, I'm never doing that again, because it felt awful. I couldn't train, mate. Like, the one thing I loved to do was train.
Yeah.
My forearms were as big as my biceps.
Yeah.
Because it was just so swollen. My hands, I couldn't grip things.
Yeah.
I couldn't do a row without my lower back exploding. I couldn't even do a fucking leg extension because there was so much water in my legs.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing that I really wanted to do was go and train, but even that was shit because I couldn't do it either.
Yeah. It's literally exactly the same. I think as terrible as it is to say, if you are completely new to this, you are completely new to competing as a whole, and you haven't got somebody guiding you, like, that's going to happen. Do you know what? And it, as terrible as it is to say, even with a coach, it still fucking happens, because people, you can tell people, but they don't know until you've been in that position. Like, I went to COS after the Arnolds. Like, I cut my meals down from 6. So I was eating 500 grams of carbs a day on prep, but I was fine. Do you know what I mean? I cut my meals down from 6 to 3. I ate in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening, and I managed all the way through the holiday. Right, got to the airport, and I was just like, fucking hell, like, my legs are like swelling. I had flight socks straight on. Got home, I literally kept them on the whole flight. When I got home, when I went to bed, woke up the next day, went for a walk, got about halfway around the block, I was just like, fucking up. I put on 3 kilos. And even then, I was like, my body was shot. He didn't want to know because it's not a position that's been comfortable in. So if you've been fucking dieting for 20 weeks, by then I think I've been dieting for 24. Like I still did my cardio every morning. I cut my meals down from 6 to 3. I ate sensibly because I've been doing this for long enough to know better. And it still catches up with you. I probably had 3 desserts the whole time I was out there. I was out there for 7 days and I got engaged. And I still, people were bringing me cake for breakfast. Like, congratulations. I was like, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Like, I won't get home. But you've got to go, like, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but for the people that don't listen, you're going to learn the hard way. Like, straight up.
100%. And again, that's not saying like, oh, you need to be antisocial and you need to like, you know, what I do with the guys and girls is I will get them to plan a social calendar for the next 3 or 4 weeks after the show. So, okay, well, you're going to go out with your parents after the show. Yeah, great. Okay, well, that week that you go out with your parents, like, stick on the diet Monday to Friday. Okay, you've got your girls or your boys coming over on a Saturday. It's a Nando's.
Yes.
It's a Turkish restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay, sweet. And then on the Wednesday you got a bit with your work. Cool. Okay, you know, maybe I need to be social. Maybe I need to have a drink. Okay, well, what you're not going to get is a Stella or Carlsberg. You're going to get a fucking vodka and Diet Coke.
100%.
Again, so you stick to your diet and you have your work social after. You stick to your vodka and Diet Coke. You have 2 or 3. You're social. You go home. You know. So and again, the week after that, I've got a couple of my mates' birthdays. No problem. Again, eat before you go, and when you do go, it's a vodka and Diet Coke. You know, like post show, yes, I'm not saying that you still have to live the very, very religious lifestyle that you live on prep, because again, not a lot of people will do that. But what you have to do is you need to be smart and be diligent in what you do and say, well, okay, well, post show, a lot of people say, where do you want to eat? What do you fancy?
Yeah.
It needs to be Nando's.
Yes, 100%.
Be steak and chips. Your answer needs to be Miller and Carter. Whatever it might be, because people are not going to say, oh, we're going here. You've dieted for 20 weeks.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
And the answer for you needs to be Nando's, Miller and Carter, Turkish, somewhere sensible, because that's on you. And when you start choosing, I don't know, Pizza Express, so hopefully you choose a better pizza than that. But
what a wank choice!
You choose Pizza Express. You get starters, main, dessert, and then you go to fucking, what is it, crepes or whatever it is after.
Yeah.
And that's on you. You know, that's on you. And again, I've been there and done it. I went and chose TGI Fridays every fucking night. And then I went and chose the ice cream parlor every night. And I tell you what, as I said, at the end of the week, I was so fat. And I weren't lying to myself. I'm thinking, oh, this is water. This is going to come off. No. I was so fat by the end of the week, and also watery, just a combination of both.
Yeah.
But when I was trying to get onto the plane, I was like, mate, my feet are going to explode. I've got to take a diuretic to get on a plane.
Yeah.
And I took the diuretic, and I still weighed 47 pounds heavier when I got back. Yeah. Oh,
mate, it's also like, please don't be naive to think that once you're that weight, you're still going to be able to have a productive off season either. Like I won't lie to any of you. Whoever tells you can put that sort of weight on, even the best part of 10 kilos, like, you got a lot of work to get that off. Think about how long it took you to get it off, and water is going to pay some of the majority of that. Like, from that massive spike in food, like, you will put on a large amount of water with that. But the instability it creates in your body to be able to get hold of yourself again, you'll have to lose all that weight. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, I've been in positions with guys before when that happens. I'm like, mate, I want you at stage weight again.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Like, tough. You're going back on your diet. You're back on prep, mate. Because there's nowhere to go from here.
No.
What do you expect me to? I'm not a fucking magician, mate. Do you know what I
mean? Where do you go from that?
Where would you?
You know what I mean? You go from, oh, I'm 30 pounds over stage weight. Okay, so you're saying you think you're going to get up to 60? You know what I mean? Because in essence, that's what you're saying, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're saying, no, you know, I can grow from here. Well, yeah, you can, but what you're going to do is you're going to grow a hell of a lot of body fat, and yeah, you might get 60 pounds above stage weight. But when you diet back down, you're only going to be 5.
Yes.
So now you've got to lose 55.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so it is, there's so many things wrong with it. And again, like, people will be listening to this who would have fucked this up. And they
100%.
would have fucked this up. So mine, and I'm sure Corey as well, message would be like, work as hard as you can to get back on it. And those cravings ain't going nowhere.
No.
They're going to stick around.
Yeah.
They're going to stick around because you've had something sweet. You've had something that you really wanted to have, or you felt you really wanted to have. And again, a lot of the time, again, speaking from experience, it's not really worth it. Like, you have it and you think, oh, that was nice, but the repercussions of it are sometimes a lot worse than that. But if you are listening to this and you're a bit like, oh, fuck, but yeah, I've fucked this up, then just try as hard as you can to get back.
Oh, mate.
Set another goal.
Set another goal. Just do something, like, honestly. And you know what? One day at a time, but it's not even one day, it's like an hour at a time, unfortunately.
Step by step.
It's everything that got you to the position that you're in prior to the position you're in now. Like, do that. Literally just get back on prep. Start eating your meals, because the longer it takes, and like, I'm just thinking about past experience, like trying to put myself in the position of like where my headspace has been. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll tell you what, all right, I'll eat my meal, but then I'll have a bourbon with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just crush it up and sprinkle it over. It's just like, no, just don't do it. Honestly, it's not worth it. And you can't be saved. You can't be. The longer you go, the further you'll go, and you will not get it back.
And the thing is, again, like, through prepping a lot of people, like, I've seen so many people then not be able to diet again.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people like not be able to diet again. Or if, for example, they've left it longer and longer and longer and just kept snacking on this and that and kept missing cardio and kept missing steps, when they do decide to drop the hammer again, nothing changes. They don't move. Yeah. You know, their body is still in a massively stressed state where it's saying, we ain't going nowhere, mate. That body fat, that's fucking sticking around for a long time.
And do you know what? I actually think in my head, like, if I was, and like, I won't name anybody, but over the years, through my competitive time, seeing guys potentially in that position, they look great a couple of days after, and they're like fucking swell. They still don't look great. They don't, but they consider themselves as fucking 20 kilos above stage rate. And you won't be able to compete for 2 years. Like, because realistically, right, the amount of time that it takes to find some level of stability, your body not be stressed, and then even get back into the groove, like, you're a mess. Like, you can't diet for a show, fuck it up for even a number of weeks potentially, then try and diet again. Like, you ain't dieting. So what you got to do is just sit there, really, and just float about. Or roll about, whichever one you prefer, and then you're back in fucking just you're in no man's land. So I think 100% there is a question of, if you have, like, you need to get back in business, man.
Yeah,
So you don't,
as soon as possible, man. Like, get back hitting them steps, get back onto that routine that allows you to be successful.
Yeah.
So get back doing the things that allows you to be successful. Morning routine, afternoon routine, training at the same time, eating your meals at the same time, doing all of those things that allows you to be successful. Because if you can do that, then you will see some progress again. You will start to get things moving. Things will start to shift. But again, the longer that it goes and the longer that it goes, all of a sudden, as I said, that 7 kilos turns into 10. That 10 turns into 15. And then that is then a lot of weight to get off, and then you're working really hard to shift that off. And again, like I said, sometimes that ain't coming off. I mean, that ain't coming off yet.
And there also should be a caveat to that, in the sense of, if you've got a coach, you don't have that plan, like, you need to be asking why. 110%.
You need to, in my opinion, that plan needs to come to you the day before the show, the day of the show, the day after the show.
Yeah. Because
then you know what you're doing. You know what the game plan is. You know what's set. One of the things that we've started to do here is actually, because some of the feedback, I'll be honest, is a bit hit and miss. Like, some of the feedback that you get from judges, is a bit hit and miss. And this is regardless of any federation, actually, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, one of the girls actually who competed at the weekend, like, she's 47 years old. She came second. She's 47 years old. And one of her feedbacks was, you just need to look a little bit younger. You're 47 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you any younger, you're 47.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do is we try and give somebody feedback, like we break down the poses. This is your front pose. This is what it look like. This is where you need to improve. This is your rear. This is your pose. This is where it needs to improve.
Yeah.
If, for example, somebody isn't then competing again, it then says, this is your game plan and this is how you need to execute it.
100%.
So on the bottom, that's all at the bottom there. But, you know, as a coach, you have a responsibility to do that. And again, if you are listening to this as a client and you don't get that from your coach, that you need to be knocking on the door and saying, I know how important this reverse diet is. Can we get this set up sooner rather than later? Because I'm gaining weight. I need structure. I need routine. I've followed a set meal plan for, again, I have had clients come to me in the past from different coaches and their coach has said, just take a week off. Just take a week off. I've been following a structure for the last 25 weeks. Yeah. Do you think I know what that means? Take a week off?
No, you're asking your elbow, mate. Not a fucking chance.
All I do is I follow this stuff on the paper that you put and I just execute it. So if I've not got nothing on a paper, I'm going to run wild. I'm going to go crazy. Like there ain't no take a week off after the show because I need structure. I've worked off structure for 25 weeks. I've worked off structure for the last X amount of years. To tell someone you don't need structure this week, you don't need routine this week, it is a recipe for disaster. And if you're getting that from a coach, it's not good enough. It's just not good.
No, and to be fair, I actually think it's quite lazy. Like and this all comes from actual conversation and management of athletes in the first place. You know what I mean? Like you should really know. Like Jack fucking smashed it this weekend. I was asking him 2-3 weeks ago. Like, listen, we need to because it wasn't clarified at the time. It was his first show. I already knew he would have to grow. Like if he was saying to me, I want to be a classic pro, like you need to be bigger. Like your weight cap is 93 kilos and you're 80. You've got a lot of muscle to put on, kid. So don't expect two pros this weekend is a prime example. Don't expect to turn up to a regional qualifier to then go to a pro qualifier 2 weeks later and walk into your pro show and your first show. Like you've got to be doing this game for a long time and be really touching your weight cap, scraping in to be in a position where you know that you can really start thinking about that. So I'm already thinking, right, okay, well, the plan is to go and win at the PCA first timers, and then we'll work for the British at the end of the year. Let's just confirm that. And that was a confirmation. He was like, I've had a good amount of experience. This was 2 weeks out. I've had a good amount of experience on my first show. I've really enjoyed it, but I know I probably need to improve. Brilliant. So the plan of action is you go straight into a recovery phase. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. Recovery phase into an off season. And to be fair, it's not much of an off season because all we're really going to be doing between March and October, bearing in mind you've still got to prep again, is ensuring that we maintain the composition you've currently got ish. You know what I mean? A couple of kilos here and there, and just ensuring that we're working on areas that we need to bring up. Like you ain't getting a full off season from a classic or a bodybuilder in that time frame. No,
not at all. And as I said, with Dan, all we've done with Dan is say, right, you've probably got 7 or 8 kilos to play with over the next 2 months.
Yes.
So let's put that out into perspective. 10 weeks, 8 kilos.
Yeah.
10 weeks, 8 kilos. You know, that's not a lot. You know, and then we start dieting back down. You know, that's not a lot to play with in a 10-week period. 8 kilos because naturally post show you're going to gain 2 kilos.
Yes.
You know, and he's somebody who's 100+ kilos because he's 6'6".
Yeah.
Naturally, he's going to gain 2 or 3 kilos just by going out to eat, filling up with a little bit of glycogen, filling up with a little water. So now that means he's only got maximum 6 kilos to play with over 10 weeks. That's how slow that growing phase has to be post-show. Because like you say, yes, again, you are putting on some tissue. There's no denying that you're putting on some tissue, but you ain't putting on 20 kilos worth of tissue.
And remembering it's not I think it's very hard to call it an off season and not call it an off season because fundamentally like you are in a position where it is a progression phase. And you're right, like for me, if you're looking at competing at the beginning of the season and the end of the season, I would really look at that as like almost like a specification block, if I'm honest, because you're going to get feedback. You should already know, or your coach should know, and your coach will know what areas you want to bring up. If if specificity is there, or potentially just need more of everything. If you need more of everything, you're good to go, because you're going to be in a position where it's just like, all right, well, let's make sure we're maximizing our training volume, maximizing our ability to drive levels of fatigue over certain periods of time, and you're good. But if you are working on thinking, right, okay, well, as a classic guy, I'm very, very strong from the, let's say Jack, for example, perfect example, very, very strong from the front, needs more from the back. Okay, so we're going to be looking at work through the posterior chain. So that's where we're going to be driving a large majority of his volume. We will bring those areas up. Is it going to be the same as having an 18 months off season? Of course not. But if you can gain, like you said, 6, 7, 8 kilos within that time frame, and you can maintain composition, well, if it's not fucking fat, what is it? Do you know what I mean? And then in we go again. But it also determines the look you're actually going to bring the next time you stand on stage, doesn't it? If you're already in condition, if you're far exceeding the level of composition you've already you achieve before you started prep in the first place, you're already a step ahead. You're going to come in leaner, which means you should come in bigger, which means we'll be able to fill you out better, which means the look will be nastier, which means that if you did a good job in your first show, you're going to do a hell of a lot better job in your second. So
for sure. Yeah, no, that's great. So we'll wrap things up there for today. I'm at the Saxon this weekend. You got anybody at the Saxon or not?
Nobody at Saxon. Nice quiet weekend for Sleep, to be fair. I might roll up there actually, to be fair.
Yeah, it's not a million miles away, is it?
No, I think it'll take about 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm getting the train actually. I'm going to get the train up there from Ashford. It's quite easy. It's just over 2 hours on the train, but from a drive, it's about 2.5, 3. So get some work done on the train as well. My national rail ticket for the year, so it's good.
I like it. I think shows, as much as they're for competitors, they're very much turning into a good social experience. I had a great weekend. Like really, really good catching up with you, catching up with familiar faces. It's nice that the season's kicking back off again, if I'm honest. It's very quiet over the off season. Like I didn't appreciate it quite as much. I remember speaking to you about it last year, and you were like, over the off season, like, it's fucking pretty dead. Like nothing really happens. But every weekend now, it's just like, well, you got something to do, you got someone to see, you got something happening. It's good. So yeah,
I'm non-stop now actually. So you got the Saxon. You obviously had last weekend, which was a double weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Then Saxon, then Ben Weeder, then there's East Midlands, I believe. Then there's Two Bros again. Then there's PCA again. Then there's Portugal. Like it's something like 9 weeks in a row now that I've got somebody doing something.
We got. I think from May as well, it's busy. We got Universe weekend, PCA. Yeah. Then weekend, is it weekend after that? We got Alicante.
I'm not sure, but in May you've got 2 first-timer shows. You've got first time 1st of May and first time is 29th of May. No, Alicante is first week in June. Yes, 2nd and 3rd of June, I think. Yeah. I need to speak to you about the calendar. We're mapping Mads' stuff out. We're gonna roll into the Universe, roll into Alicante, with the regional between that. Yeah. And then probably pull her out, get married, and then roll her in for the end of the year. I wanted to. Yeah, I'm at all those shows anyway, man. So we'll speak through that because we got like the Alicante show. I don't think Shah's coming. I think it's just me and the girls out there. I think there's 5 girls doing that show. So nice. Yeah, that'll be good. But yeah, no, we'll catch up anyway. Plenty of pizza for me and you. Go on. Yeah, peace. I'll catch up with you later. Thank you all for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that. All that good stuff. Share it with a friend if you got some use out of it. Peace. Take it easy. Peace.